Welcome back to Trauma Recovery Anonymous, the podcast. My name is Richard and I am your host. The whole goal of this program is to help you separate from the past trauma, from the cause. And it's a very good idea to understand that we're talking about two different aspects of the same person. The person you were yesterday and the person you are today are two different aspects of the same person. The person I was yesterday was Richard. The person I am today is Richard, but the person I was yesterday is a different aspect to the person I am today, because yesterday I wasn't making this presentation, today I am. Two different aspects of the same person having two different experiences. And if you can stretch this out between you and your past, you'll see the difference. So again, I shared earlier on in an episode, if you could get two photographs, one of you today and one of the younger aspect of you who suffered your trauma. So in my case, I'm a 64-year-old man today, and the picture of that younger version of me was a 12-year-old child. We can clearly see we're not the same person. One is an adult and one is a child. One is weary, broken, alive, living. The other is full of innocence, before any troubles in their lives. Two different aspects of the same person. One's a child doing childish things, and one's an adult being a husband and a father and a trauma recovery coach and a podcast host and doing manly, husbandly things. And the other's a young child living with his parents, no responsibilities in the world, being taken care of by his parents and whatever, and going to school every day, and no responsibilities, no fears in the horizon, not knowing he's going to experience a trauma event, but two different aspects of the same person. This is the truth that will set you free. Find any way you can to see that you're not the same person. Even in this inner child work, when people work with the idea of an inner child, see clearly the inner child isn't you, isn't a part of you, that your body didn't get harmed. I've shared earlier on, the body only holds the scars. So if you were a veteran and you lost a leg in the war, well, today you'd have that missing limb on your body to show you hold the scar. But the wounds of it, the emotional and mental wounds, aren't in you, they're in your soul. Your body changes every 7 to 10 years. I shared this earlier on in another episode. Science tells us that our bodies change every 7 to 10 years. So the average would be 8 years. For every 8 years, your body changes completely. Billions of cells die every single day. That in 8 years' time, the body you're in today will no longer be this body. You'll have a new body. It'll be 8 years older. And every part of the physical part of the body, from the brain to the senses to the physicality, will have changed. You'll still be missing that arm or leg you lost in the war. In my case, I was dropped as a child and I had stitches on my top of my head. I fell off my bike one day and I cut open my knee and I have stitches on my kneecap. Those scars remain with the body, but the emotional scars, they're in my soul, and that's what eats away at me all the time. Understand there are two different versions. The version of you today, there's actually, if you really get into it, there's 365 different versions of us in each year. And then multiply that by the number of years you've been alive, and you understand how many different versions there are of you. In each 24 hours, we are a whole new creation. When we go to bed at night, our conscious mind shuts down, and our subconscious mind, the kingdom of God, where God lies within us, goes into our mind and sorts through our day, and the stuff that's on the periphery of our vision. So you know when you're walking down the road and you pass by the same houses, the same coloured cars, and you see cars and buses zip past you. Things that happen but have no importance in your life. That's all the periphery vision. And God takes that and drops it in the junk box. And then it goes through your process and he sees what's important for right now. It puts it to the front of your brain. What's maybe important in a few days' time, it puts into another box. What's maybe to be done in a week's time in another box. And what's maybe doesn't have to be done or may be done in a few months' time, put that into another box. So when you wake up the next morning, everything's been sorted out in your mind. You know what you have to do tomorrow and then what you can do next week and so on. This changes you because you're no longer the mix-up of everything you were yesterday. Now it's been compartmentalized and you know what you need to do today. You have it set up in separate boxes. This is what makes you different. So each day of your life, you're 365 different aspects of you. And maybe at 64 years of age, multiply 365 by 64, it's like about 20,000 different versions of me in my lifetime. And the version I am today is not any one of the other 20,000 versions of me from yesterday back to the day I was born. two differently instinct people. I am not the same person I was yesterday or last week or last month, or the person I was who suffered the trauma. We're two completely different people having two completely different life experiences. And if we're having two different life experiences, that means what happened to that child didn't happen to me. I can't go around today saying I was molested as a child, because I'm in a different lifestyle, a different lifetime. I'm having a different life experience today. So it didn't happen to me. I know quite clearly that my inner child, he suffered a trauma 52 years ago in his lifetime. And I'm here with you in my lifetime hosting a podcast, working with my clients as a trauma recovery coach, writing my books, playing my golf, cycling, swimming, being a husband and a father, being a brother, a friend, a companion. This is who I am today. And my life today doesn't involve any trauma from the past. I only exist in these 24 hours today. And if I'm going to have a life and meaning and purpose, I need to focus all of my attention on being solely focused and present on being here today. And this means I must give the past, the details and the baggage of it, and those sympathy pains back to my younger self. There are two different versions we're talking about. Not the 20,000 in my life, but the two, one of today and one of 52 years ago. And as much as everything that happened to all the other versions of me don't concern me, because I don't have the details of it, I have to do the same for this one version of me in the past. I must give him back his details so that his memory will be like all the other 20,000 memories. They won't affect me in any way. It's amazing how we can let one version of us in the past take over our lives in the present. But we don't choose a good, happy thought in the past. That really kind of baffles me. No one says, okay, do you remember the time when you got an A in your exam in school, or you won the three-legged race or the sack race, or you won that rugby match at the under 12s? Do you remember that event, how great it was? Okay, let's relive that event over and over again for the next 20 years. You come to therapy and we'll talk about how great it felt to win that trophy at age of 12. And we make that your whole purpose for living is to relive that over and over again. You'd say, hang on, if I do that, I can't live my life today. If I focus on something that happened 20 years ago as being my high point of my life, how can I expect to live my life today? That would be crazy. But what are we doing? We're picking a low point in our lives in the past and letting that block us from having a life today. Just imagine for 1 minute your therapist said to you, okay, let's pick something that was happy in your past and let's focus on that. And let's therapy that. Let's therapy the shit out of that. Let's go pick something. So what happened? Oh, maybe the first time you went fishing and you caught a salmon. And you suddenly remember how great that was. You never fished before. Everyone else is fishing around you and you caught the first salmon of the day in front of your parents and your uncles and your brothers, and you caught a salmon. By fluke or not, you caught the salmon. They go back to the house, they're all talking about Richard caught the first salmon. How good that felt in that moment. Well, let's play with that memory. Ignore everything else. Let's play with that memory. Ignore your life in the present and your responsibility in the present. Let's just focus on that. You catching a salmon and how good that felt. And let's just celebrate that. Every day I meet you, every time we talk, when you're talking to your friends, keep talking about the fish, the great fish you caught and how great it felt, and see what happens. And you'll see instinctively how people get sick and tired of hearing the same story. And it's not the case they don't care. It's just that we're flogging a dead horse. We're giving life to something that happened in the past, but at some stage you have to let go of it and find your meaning and purpose in the present. There are two versions of the same person. We either live our version and find meaning and purpose in our lives today, or we're flogging a dead horse. We're giving life to somebody else's life in our present, and by bringing their life into our present, we're bringing the death and decay and disease of that dead thing into our present, and it's destroying everything it touches. We are our own worst enemy. Understand, there are two versions of you. There's the version who you are today, and this is where your whole life and existence and focus must be in this present moment. And what happened in the past is none of your business anymore. And if you're carrying the details of it, you must give those details back to your younger self. You can no longer be the cat and look what the cat dragged in. You're no longer being that cat. You're getting rid of that debt, decay and disease by giving it all back to your younger self, and he'll take it off you willingly. He wants to take it off you. He wants to leave this plane of existence, but you're holding him here hostage when you play your inner child games, and you take him out on dates. He doesn't want to go on dates. He wants to leave. He wants to leave this plane of existence and step into the arms of our Father, where there's love and care and kindness. This earthly world was a terror for him, a horror show, and he wants to leave and go where it's safe, into heaven. And we need to let him go. So no more inner child games, no more taking him out on play dates. Leave the fella go. He wants to leave. Have that conversation. He'll tell you quite clearly, what the hell are you doing dragging me on fucking play dates? I want to leave this plane of existence now. I can look into the light. I can see mum and dad. I can see my grandparents. I can see our siblings and my friends who passed away. They're all there waiting, calling to me. And I can't cross over, but you have until you give me back my baggage. Please let me go. And when you recognize the truth of this, and you hear their voice talking to you, you'll understand you've made a grave error. Not intentionally. You're not a bad person. You thought you were doing right. You thought you were helping. But it's time now to let your younger self go, your inner child go, to see them carried off by 10,000 angels into the light. And in that moment, with the details, the baggage, and your sympathy pains gone, suddenly it's like every other memory in your bank. Every other one of my 20,000 memories I don't have the details of. They're just memories. I can think back to the time we went fishing, or the time I won the egg and spoon race, or I came last in the three-legged race because our sack kept falling over. And I can laugh about that, but the actual details of it, they're not in my psyche. They're not a part of who I am today. Now I can focus all my attention on being present and alive in this moment in time. So right now my attention is with you in this podcast. When I finish this podcast, I'll go down to my wife and have a chat with her, and I'll get ready to meet my kids and pick them up from school. And my life is in the present moment. And it might sound like boring stuff to do, but it's being alive in the present moment. That's all I can do, is focus all of my attention on being alive in this moment in time, to be the best, boring, normal human being I can